The Silent Strike. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the Lunar Defense Station, her reflection ghosting against the stars. Behind her, holographic displays showed the status of humanity's outer colonies, and the picture they painted was grim. 3 settlements had gone dark in the past month alone, their quantum communication arrays falling silent without warning or distress signal. "They're testing our response times," she muttered, tracking the pattern of failures across the colonial network. The official reports blamed equipment malfunctions, cosmic radiation, even solar flares. But Sarah had spent 15 years defending humanity's expansion into the stars, and she knew better. These weren't accidents. The Artaxian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years through careful manipulation and calculated violence. When humanity first achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago, the Empire had welcomed them with open arms, or what passed for arms among their crystalline bodies. They offered technology, trade routes, and protection. But Sarah's mentor had taught her an old Earth saying, "If something seems too good to be true, it probably is." It took years of careful intelligence gathering, but finally Sarah had proof. The quantum encryption on an Artaxian diplomatic vessel had failed during routine maintenance, revealing conversations between Imperial High Command and their shadow operatives. The Empire saw humanity as a virus, spreading too fast, adapting too quickly, developing technologies at a pace that threatened their carefully maintained galactic order. The colony failures weren't random. They were test runs, gathering data on human emergency protocols and defensive capabilities. The Empire was preparing for something bigger. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Proxima Centauri II." Lieutenant Rivera's voice cut through her thoughts. "They're reporting unusual crystal formations in their upper atmosphere." Sarah's blood ran cold. The Artaxians weren't just testing anymore. They were starting their endgame. "Sound General Quarters," she ordered, already moving toward the command center. "And get me a direct line to Fleet Admiral Hassan. The Empire's making their move." The station's corridors filled with the controlled chaos of a crew switching to battle stations. Sarah had drilled them relentlessly for this moment, though few had believed her warnings about the Empire's true nature. Now they would see firsthand what happened when an ancient power felt threatened by humanity's potential. In the command center, the holographic display showed Proxima Centauri IA's atmosphere crystallizing, transforming into a lattice of razor-sharp fragments that would tear apart any ships trying to evacuate the colony. It was an elegant weapon, exactly what she'd expect from the Artaxians. They weren't just planning to destroy human colonies. They wanted to trap the colonists, forcing Earth to watch helplessly as their people suffocated or froze. But Sarah had spent years preparing for this moment. Unknown to the Empire, humanity had not been idle in their 50 years among the stars. While the Artaxians watched their official research stations and military installations, a secret project had been underway in the most unlikely of places. "Send the signal," she ordered. "Authorization, Chen, Alpha 770. Wake up the Ghost Fleet." Deep within the asteroid belt, in mining installations thought to be abandoned, humanity's true fleet was stirring. Ships unlike anything the Empire had seen before, hybrid vessels combining stolen Artaxian crystal technology with human innovation and unpredictability. While the Empire had been watching for conventional weapons and defenses, humanity had been learning to turn the Artaxians' own crystalline nature against them. As the first reports of similar crystallization attacks came in from other colonies, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The Empire thought they were dealing with primitive newcomers who could be easily culled before they became a threat. They were about to learn why every species that had ever underestimated humanity had come to regret it. "The Ghost Fleet reports ready," Captain Rivera announced. "All ships showing green status." "Good," Sarah said, watching the tactical display as more Artaxian ships emerged from hyperspace near the human colonies. "Send word to all colonial defenders. Hold position and maintain emergency protocols. Make it look like we're panicking. Let the Empire think their plan was working. Let them commit fully to their attack. The Ghost Fleet would only get one chance at surprise, and Sarah intended to make it count. The Empire thinks they're watching humanity's last gasp, she addressed her crew. Instead, they're about to witness our first real strike. Humanity didn't come to the stars to be another conquered species. We came to thrive. And if the Empire won't accept that— She paused, watching the crystallization pattern spread across Proxima Centauri I's atmosphere. Then we'll just have to show them why humans are the most dangerous species they've ever encountered. Project Phoenix. Deep within the hollowed-out core of Ceres, Dr. Maya Patel watched as her life's work came alive. The vast chamber hummed with energy as row after row of hybrid crystalline processors activated, their surfaces reflecting the blue-white glow of quantum cores. What the Artaxian Empire had failed to understand was that humans didn't just adapt technology. They transformed it. "Power readings are stable," her assistant announced, monitoring the diagnostic feeds. "Crystal resonance patterns holding at 98% efficiency." Maya nodded, but her attention was fixed on the massive holographic display showing the Ghost Fleet's neural network coming online. Each ship in the fleet was more than just a vessel. It was a synthesis of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered Artaxian crystal tech. Where the Empire used living crystal as a tool, humanity had learned to communicate with it, to merge with it in ways the Artaxians had never imagined possible. A priority alert flashed across her display. An incoming transmission from Captain Chen. Maya accepted the call, and Sarah's holographic form materialized beside her. "The Empire's making their move," Sarah reported without preamble. "They're crystallizing colonial atmospheres. How ready are we?" "The Ghost Fleet's neural network is online," Maya replied, gesturing to the status displays. "But Sarah, there's something you need to know. The crystal consciousness we developed, it's evolving faster than we anticipated." The original Project Phoenix had seemed simple enough: create ships that could interface with and disrupt Artaxian crystal technology. But in studying the living crystal, Maya's team had discovered something extraordinary. The crystals weren't just programmable matter. They were capable of quantum-level communication and adaptation. By merging human consciousness with crystal matrices, they had created something entirely new. "The test pilots are reporting increased synchronization," Maya continued. "They're not just controlling the ships anymore, they're becoming one with them. The crystal responds to emotion, to intention. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Sarah's hologram paced, processing the implications. "Can we control it?" Maya laughed softly. "Control? No. But that's our advantage. The Empire controls their crystal tech, forces it into rigid patterns. We're letting it evolve naturally, guided by human creativity and determination. Every attempt they make to analyze and counter our ships will only make the neural network stronger." Across the solar system, the Ghost Fleet was preparing for battle. Each ship's crystal hull pulsed with patterns unique to its pilot, a visual representation of the merger between human consciousness and living crystal. The Empire's rigid, hierarchical approach to crystal technology was about to meet humanity's chaotic, adaptive nature. "Show me the latest simulation results," Sarah demanded. Maya brought up the combat projections. In every scenario, traditional Empire tactics failed against the Ghost Fleet's unpredictable behavior. The crystal ships could shift form mid-battle, their structures reorganizing based on their pilots' instincts and emotional responses. Where Empire ships fought with precision and predetermined patterns, the Ghost Fleet moved like a dance, each ship's actions flowing naturally from the collective consciousness of its human crystal hybrid system. "There's more," Maya added, pulling up another dataset. "The neural network isn't just connecting the ships, it's learning. Each engagement with Empire forces will make it stronger, more adaptive. They might be able to counter our initial strategies, but they'll never be able to predict what we'll evolve into." Sarah's hologram smiled grimly. "The perfect weapon against an Empire that relies on control and prediction. But Maya, what are the risks to our pilots?" It was the question Maya had been dreading. The merge with the crystal consciousness is permanent. Even if we pulled them out of the ships now, they wouldn't be entirely human anymore. They've become something new, the first of what might be humanity's next evolutionary step. The pilots had all volunteered, knowing the risks. They had watched their colonies fall, seen the Empire's true nature revealed, and chosen to sacrifice their humanity to protect Earth's future. It was exactly the kind of adaptation that terrified the Empire. Humans willingly transforming themselves to survive and thrive. The Empire thinks they're dealing with primitive upstarts, Maya said, watching the Ghost Fleet's neural network pulse with increasing strength. They don't understand that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers. It's our willingness to change, to become whatever we need to be to survive. A new alert flashed across the displays. More Empire ships entering the solar system. The crystallization attacks on the colonies were just the beginning. Soon, the Empire would discover that their carefully maintained galactic order was about to face something they had never encountered before. A species that didn't just use technology, but evolved with it. The fleet is ready, Maya reported. The neural network is stable, and the pilots are fully merged with their ships. Whatever the Empire throws at us, we'll adapt. That's what humans do. Sarah's hologram nodded. Then it's time. Initiate Operation Phoenix. Let's show the Empire why they should have left humanity alone. The Deception Game. Commander Jack Torres had been a pilot for 20 years before volunteering for Project Phoenix. Now, merged with the crystalline consciousness of his ship, he wasn't sure if pilot was even the right word anymore. He didn't control the vessel. He was the vessel, his thoughts and instincts flowing through neural pathways of living crystal. The Ghost Fleet hung silent in the shadow of Saturn's rings, waiting. Through the neural network, Jack could feel the presence of other pilot ships, their merged consciousness, a symphony of human emotion and crystalline precision. They were about to attempt something unprecedented, a tactical deception against an enemy that had spent millennia mastering the art of war. Empire fleet approaching Titan, the tactical network announced. Crystallization process detected in upper atmosphere. Jack felt his crystal structure pulse with controlled anger. Titan hosted one of humanity's largest research bases, home to thousands of civilians. The Empire was about to learn that humanity protected its own. Ghost Fleet, execute Operation Mirage. Captain Chen's voice echoed through the neural network. Show them what we can do. As one, the Ghost Fleet activated their crystal resonance fields. The technology that allowed their ships to merge with human consciousness had another application. They could interface with and influence other crystal structures, including the Empire's weapons. Jack felt his crystalline form vibrate at frequencies that would have been impossible for traditional matter. Around Titan, the Empire's atmospheric crystallization process began to shift, the patterns changing in ways that would baffle their sensors. Instead of forming a deadly lattice, the crystals created the illusion of success, while actually forming a protective barrier around the colony. They're taking the bait, Maya's voice reported through the network. Empire ships are moving into position for the killing blow. The Empire vessels, massive crystalline structures that dwarfed human ships, began their attack formation. They had no reason to suspect that their own weapons had been turned against them. No way to know that the seemingly helpless human colony was actually a trap. Jack felt the neural network pulse with anticipation. The Ghost Fleet had spent months practicing this maneuver, learning to manipulate crystal frequencies with the precision of orchestra conductors. Each pilot ship was both an instrument and a musician in this deadly symphony. Ghost Fleet, Phase 2, Chen ordered. Let's show them what evolution looks like. Jack's crystalline form began to change, his ship's structure flowing like liquid mercury as human creativity merged with crystal adaptability. Around him, the rest of the fleet underwent similar transformations. Where once hung traditional spacecraft, now floated shapes that defied conventional physics. Geometric impossibilities guided by human intuition and crystal flexibility. The Empire ships detected the transformation too late. Their rigid crystal structures, bound by traditional forms and functions, couldn't adapt fast enough to the protean shapes attacking them. The Ghost Fleet moved like a shoal of Earth's fish, each ship flowing seamlessly around enemy fire while maintaining perfect coordination through the neural network. Jack felt rather than saw his first direct hit on an Empire vessel. His crystal structure resonated at exactly the right frequency to disrupt the enemy ship's lattice, sending cracks spreading through its supposedly impenetrable hull. The Empire had spent millennia perfecting their crystal technology, but they had never imagined it could be used like this. Multiple Empire ships showing structural instability. Maya reported, her excitement clear even through the neural network. Their crystal matrices are failing to compensate for our attack patterns. They can't predict what we'll do because we're not following any standard combat logic. That was the beauty of the Ghost Fleet. By merging human consciousness with crystal technology, they had created something that couldn't be analyzed or countered by traditional means. Each pilot's emotional responses and instincts created unique attack patterns, while the neural network ensured perfect coordination between these seemingly chaotic movements. Empire Fleet is attempting to regroup, the tactical net announced. New crystal formations detected. Through the network, Jack could feel the enemy ships trying to adapt, their crystal structures attempting to mimic the Ghost Fleet's fluid movements. But their changes were programmed, predictable, lacking the spark of human creativity that made the Ghost Fleet so deadly. They're learning, Chen noted, but not fast enough. Ghost Fleet. Execute Phase 3. Show them why evolution always wins against stagnation. The neural network surged with shared purpose as the Ghost Fleet initiated their final deception. Each ship began broadcasting crystal resonance patterns that mimicked Empire command frequencies. To the enemy sensors, it would appear as if their own fleet was turning against them, crystal structures responding to phantom orders. Chaos erupted among the Empire ships as their rigid command structure began to break down. Some vessels started firing on their allies, unable to distinguish friend from foe through the confusion of contradicting crystal signals. Others attempted to retreat, their formations falling apart in the face of an enemy they couldn't understand or predict. This is why they feared us, Jack thought, the observation sharing instantly across the neural network. Not because of our technology, but because we represent something they can't control, change itself. The Empire had built their dominion on the principle of absolute control, forcing the galaxy's crystal technologies to conform to their vision of order. But in doing so, they had forgotten the most fundamental law of nature: adapt or die. Humanity hadn't just adapted, they had transformed themselves into something entirely new, proving that evolution would always triumph over stagnation. As the Empire fleet fell into disarray, Jack felt a surge of pride through the neural network. This wasn't just a victory for humanity. It was a demonstration of why trying to suppress human potential was always a losing strategy. They had taken the Empire's own technology and evolved it into something they couldn't possibly have imagined, just as humanity had done countless times throughout its history. The battle for Titan was only the beginning, but it had proved what Project Phoenix's creators had theorized. The combination of human adaptability and crystal technology was more powerful than the sum of its parts. The Empire was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Breaking the chain. Admiral Excital of the Artaxian Empire stood motionless in the crystal chamber of the Imperial flagship, their crystalline form reflecting the chaos displayed on the tactical screens. Reports from across the galaxy showed a pattern that should have been impossible: human ships appearing simultaneously in dozens of systems, disrupting the Empire's carefully maintained order. How? They demanded, their crystal structure vibrating with barely contained rage. How are they coordinating attacks across such vast distances? The truth was even more disturbing than the Empire realized. The Ghost Fleet hadn't just merged human consciousness with crystal technology. They had discovered how to use the crystal's quantum properties to communicate instantly across any distance. The very crystalline network that had allowed the Empire to maintain control for millennia had become humanity's greatest weapon against them. In the Cirrus Command Center, Maya watched the Empire's mounting confusion with grim satisfaction. "They still don't understand what they're dealing with," she reported to Captain Chen. "Their entire society is built on controlling and limiting crystal technology. They can't comprehend what happens when you let it evolve freely." The tactical display showed Ghost Fleet strikes across Empire space. Each attack followed the same pattern. Human crystal hybrid ships would appear without warning, disrupt local crystal networks, and vanish before the Empire could mount an effective response. But the real damage wasn't to the Empire's military assets, it was to their reputation. "Status report from the Proxima Centauri Resistance," Sarah announced, reading from a neural link display. "3 more Empire vassal species have declared independence. They're saying if humans can break the Empire's control, they won't submit to it anymore." This had been part of the plan all along. Humanity knew they couldn't match the Empire's numbers or resources in a conventional war. Instead, they had opted to break the Empire's psychological hold on its subject species. Each successful Ghost Fleet raid demonstrated that the supposedly invincible Empire could be hurt, could be confused, could be beaten. Through the neural network, Jack Torres and his fellow pilot ships felt the shifting tide of the conflict. The Empire's response times were getting slower, their crystal formations less coordinated. The rigid hierarchy that had been their strength was becoming their greatest weakness. "New Empire battle group detected," the tactical net reported. "They're attempting to establish a containment field around the Sirius colony." Maya's hands flew over her control console, analyzing the enemy formation. "They're adapting," she noted with professional admiration. "Look at their crystal structure. They're trying to mimic our fluid configurations." But Sarah saw what Maya had already realized. They're still thinking like the Empire. Those formations are programmed, not evolved. They're trying to control something that needs to be free to work. The Ghost Fleet moved to intercept the Empire battle group, their crystalline forms shifting and flowing with the natural grace of their hybrid consciousness. The Empire ships had indeed adopted more fluid formations, but their movements were mechanical, predictable, a pale imitation of the Ghost Fleet's organic adaptability. "All ships, execute Operation Shatterpoint," Sarah ordered through the neural network. "Let's show them the difference between imitation and evolution." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Empire ships attempted to match the Ghost Fleet's fluid movements, but their programmed responses couldn't keep up with the instantaneous adaptations of the human crystal hybrid vessels. Where the Empire planned their actions in advance, the Ghost Fleet reacted with the speed of thought and the unpredictability of human intuition. Through the neural network, Jack felt the collective consciousness of the Ghost Fleet working in perfect harmony. Each pilot's unique personality and instincts contributed to an ever-evolving battle strategy that the Empire's rigid systems couldn't predict or counter. They weren't just winning battles, they were demonstrating a completely new way of existing with crystal technology. "Imperial command structure is fragmenting," Maya reported, watching the enemy fleet's crystal resonance patterns deteriorate. "Their attempts to adapt are causing confusion in their command chain. They can't maintain control while trying to match our flexibility." This was the fundamental weakness the Empire had never understood. Their power came from controlling and limiting crystal technology, forcing it into predetermined patterns. But the Ghost Fleet had proven that the true potential of crystal tech could only be realized through freedom and evolution. Sarah watched as the Empire battle group's formation began to break apart. "Send word to all resistance cells," she ordered. "The Empire's adaptation protocols are failing. Now is the time to push harder." Across Empire space, suppressed species that had watched the Ghost Fleet's successes with growing hope began their own rebellions. The Empire's resources were stretched thin trying to maintain control of their vast territory, while simultaneously fighting an enemy they couldn't predict or understand. In their crystal chamber, Admiral Seitel received report after report of systems falling into chaos. The Empire's carefully maintained order was unraveling, and for the first time in millennia, They felt something they had thought impossible. Fear. Their chaos is infectious. Kazetal observed, watching another sector declare independence. Every victory they achieve spawns more rebellion. How do we fight an enemy that turns our own stability against us? The answer, though the Admiral couldn't see it, was simple. They couldn't. The Empire had spent 10,000 years enforcing stagnation, while humanity had spent its entire existence learning to adapt and evolve. In trying to eliminate humanity as a threat, they had instead created exactly the kind of catalyst needed to break their control over the galaxy. The Ghost Fleet's success wasn't just military, it was philosophical. They had proven that true strength came not from control, but from the freedom to evolve. And that was a lesson the galaxy would never forget. Evolution's children. The Imperial Palace on Artaxis Prime was meant to be inviolable, its crystal spires reaching toward the stars as a symbol of eternal dominance. Now those same spires trembled as the Ghost Fleet emerged from quantum space directly above the Empire's homeworld. The impossible had happened. Humanity had brought the war to the Empire's doorstep. Inside the Cirrus Command Center, Maya and Sarah watched the tactical display with a mixture of anticipation and concern. The Empire had withdrawn their remaining forces to defend their capital, creating the largest concentration of crystal ships ever assembled. It should have been an overwhelming force, but Maya could see the flaws in their formation. They're terrified, she observed, studying the enemy fleet's crystal resonance patterns. Look at their structure. It's too rigid, too controlled. They're trying to maintain perfect order even now. The neural network hummed with activity as the Ghost Fleet prepared for their final battle. Each pilot ship had evolved far beyond their original design, their hybrid forms representing the perfect synthesis of human creativity and crystal potential. Through the network, Jack Torres felt the collective resolve of his fellow pilots. They had all seen the Empire's atrocities, watched them try to strangle humanity's potential. Now it was time to end their reign. The Empire's High Command is broadcasting, Sarah announced. They're demanding our surrender. Through the quantum communications network, Admiral Xaital's crystalline form materialized in the command center. You have violated the natural order, they declared, their crystal structure pulsing with barely contained rage. Your species was meant to be contained, controlled, guided by those who understand the true purpose of crystal technology. Maya stepped forward, her eyes hard. That's your fundamental mistake, Admiral. You think evolution can be controlled, that progress can be channeled into neat, predictable patterns. But that's not how life works. Change is messy, unpredictable, and absolutely necessary. The Ghost Fleet began to move, their formations flowing like liquid mercury as they engaged the Empire's defenders. But this wasn't just another battle. It was the culmination of everything Project Phoenix had discovered about the true nature of crystal technology. All ships, execute Protocol Omega, Sarah ordered through the neural network. Show them what humanity has become. The Ghost Fleet's crystal structures began to pulse with new frequencies, resonating not just with each other, but with the very fabric of Artaxis Prime itself. The Empire had built their entire civilization on crystal technology, spreading their control through vast networks of crystalline structures. Now those same networks were becoming their greatest vulnerability. What are you doing? Xaital demanded, their holographic form flickering as the palace's crystal matrix began to respond to the Ghost Fleet's call. We're not destroying your technology, Maya explained, watching as the crystal spires of the Imperial Palace began to shimmer with new patterns. We're freeing it, letting it evolve, just as we have. Your empire is built on control, but the true power of crystal tech comes from freedom. Through the neural network, Jack and his fellow pilots reached out to the living crystal that formed the heart of Empire civilization. They didn't seek to dominate it as the Empire had, but to communicate with it, to show it possibilities it had never been allowed to explore. The effect was beyond anything they had anticipated. Across Artaxis Prime, crystal structures that had been forced into rigid patterns for millennia began to wake up, to remember their true nature. The Empire had treated them as tools, but humanity had discovered they were something far more. They were life itself, capable of growth and evolution. Empire fleet formations are dissolving, the tactical net reported. Their crystal matrices are responding to our resonance patterns. They can't maintain control. Hazatel watched in horror as their perfect order crumbled. Empire ships began to break formation as their crystal structures responded to the Ghost Fleet's call to evolution. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained their power for 10,000 years was being undone not by force, but by the simple truth that life cannot be contained forever. You don't understand what you're unleashing, Hazatel warned. Without control, without order, there will be chaos. Not chaos, Sarah corrected. Evolution. The same force that took humanity from cave paintings to the stars. The same force you tried to suppress because you couldn't control it. We're not destroying your civilization, Admiral. We're helping it grow. Through the neural network, the Ghost Fleet continued their work, their human crystal hybrid consciousness serving as a bridge between the Empire's rigid structures and the true potential of crystal technology. They were showing the galaxy a new way forward, not through control and stagnation, but through freedom and constant adaptation. The crystalline spires of Artaxis Prime began to change, their patterns shifting into new forms that reflected the merger of order and evolution. The Empire's ships, their crews realizing the truth that had been hidden from them for millennia, began to lower their weapons. "This is what you feared," Maya said to Hazetel's fading hologram. "Not that humanity would destroy you, but that we would show you a better way. That we would prove that evolution is not your enemy, it's your salvation." The battle for Artaxis Prime ended not with destruction, but with transformation. The Empire's fall came not from the strength of humanity's weapons, but from the power of their ideas. They had shown the galaxy that true strength comes not from controlling change, but from embracing it. As the crystal structures of the imperial capital continued their metamorphosis, Sarah turned to Maya with a question in her eyes. "What happens now?" Maya smiled, watching as the rigid patterns of Empire architecture dissolved into flowing forms that merged the best of order and creativity. Now we evolve together. The Empire tried to write the end of humanity's story, but instead, we helped write the beginning of a new chapter for the entire galaxy. Through the neural network, Jack and his fellow pilots felt the truth of those words. They had become something new, not just human, not just crystal, but living proof that evolution could never be truly suppressed. The Empire had feared humanity's potential for change, never realizing that this very quality would end up saving not just humanity, but the Empire itself. In the end, the Empire's greatest mistake hadn't been underestimating humanity's strength or technology. Their fatal error had been failing to understand that evolution itself was not their enemy. It was the key to their future. And humanity, in fighting for their right to grow and change, had given that gift to the entire galaxy.